Good afternoon. I'm Deborah Espinosa of Living with Conviction, and welcome to the Blake Coffee Break. We're very happy to have you here. I just want to go through a couple Zoom housekeeping items, and that is you are welcome to turn on the captions below on the bottom of your screen at any time. We also are recording, so you're welcome to keep your video off as needed. And also the other thing is we will be, as I mentioned, recording this, and we'll be sending a link to everybody who has attended. And we also will be putting it on our website and our YouTube channel for later reference. Okay, and I think that there was one other thing. Oh, at any time, you're welcome to, we will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. Our presentation won't go through the whole thing, but if you have a very burning question, please feel free to either put that question in the chat, or you can turn on your video or turn on your mic and go ahead and ask the question if it's super burning, or you can wait. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so thank you. So first, I want to thank, we always start, Living with Conviction always starts our presentations with gratitude to everybody who's attending. We know your time is precious and limited, so thank you for being here. We also want to thank our guests today from the Washington State Administrative Office of the Court. You'll be hearing more from them later. And we also want to thank our supporter, the Washington State Office of Civil Legal Aid, who has been supporting Living with Convictions, engagement, and help in which we are able to help unrepresented individuals navigate this process. So we're very grateful to them as well. Okay, and so next I'm going to ask that each of our speakers briefly introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Bales from Living with Conviction. I'm Director of Legal Empowerment here. I'm formally, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Mike. And Sophia?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia Thomas, and I am a legal empowerment navigator here at Living with Conviction. I'm also very happy to be here.
Thank you. And Chris?
Hi there. I'm Christopher Stanley, Chief Financial and Management Officer for the Administrative Office of the Courts, and the Blake Refund Bureau is part of my division.
Thank you, Chris. And Robin?
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for having me. I'm with AOC. I am the Blake External Relations Liaison, and I steer all communications and outreach activities for the Blake Refund Bureau.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'm, again, Deborah Espinosa. I do very briefly want to just mention about Living with Conviction. We are a nonprofit organization who uses a legal empowerment model. And in that respect, our team is primarily comprised of formerly incarcerated individuals as well as attorneys, but we do not provide legal representation or advice. Instead, we believe in the peer-to-peer legal empowerment model in which we can help marginalized communities understand and exercise their rights. So that isn't the main focus of our talk today, but just know that that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, is we very much want to get the word about the rights that people have under the State v. Blake decision, which is our next topic. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
All right. What is the State versus Blake? So it's a Washington State Supreme Court decision that took place in 2021. The Supreme Court declared the state's simple drug possession law was unconstitutional because the prosecutors previously did not have to prove that the person intended to possess narcotics. That has changed now with the Blake decision, and as a result, people convicted of drug possession going back to 1971 have a right to get those convictions cleared or vacated, and the money that you paid related to those cases, legal financial obligations, known as LFOs, and other related costs, possibly refunded. So as far as immigration in the State v. Blake, if you're not a U.S. citizen, LWC will happily refer you to a free attorney to ensure that there are no negative immigration consequences. And if you have any questions regarding that, you can contact Living with Conviction at 206-307-3028. How do I know if I have a Blake conviction? If you were convicted in Washington State of a simple drug possession between May 25th, 1971 and February 25th, 2021, and that possession case does not include intent to delivery, distribution, or manufacturing elements, we may be able to help you get that case vacated from your record. What does it mean to have a Blake conviction? If you have a Blake conviction, you are entitled to have that conviction cleared, vacated as if it was never there, and you may be entitled to a refund of related costs that you have paid. So if I have a Blake case, now what? Living with Convictions navigators will check court databases to see if your conviction has already been vacated from your record. If your case is not vacated, the next steps depend on what county the case took place in. So county by county, depending on what county it happened, and we are able to help you prepare the court forms requesting a vacate using a web app at washingtonlawhelp.org, or we can help you get on. There's a few different counties that have Office of Public Defense lists where you can sign up and they will be vacated free of charge. And if that county does not have one of those types of links, we will refer you to a free attorney within our network to help get vacated.
All right. So my Blake case has now been vacated. What do I do next? Once vacated, you may have the right to 3 types of refunds of money that you've paid on those cases. The 3 types are legal financial obligations, otherwise known as LFOs, other costs like drug treatment costs or home monitoring, those are considered third-party expenses. And then the third potential refund you're entitled to is DOC, cost of supervision. And we'll go into each one of those refund types in more detail on the next slides. So the first type, again, paid LFOs. Those will come from the Blake Refund Bureau. It's a refund of legal financial obligations that are ordered by the sentencing court and paid to the clerk's offices. Those may be refunded by the Blake Refund Bureau. And it is based on the eligibility. The eligibility is based on the number and types of charges or the number and of counts that you have on Blake eligible cases. So some people have blended Blake cases where they may not be eligible for refunds because the sentence imposed would still require incarceration and cost of supervision, where a simple Blake could potentially, you'd be entitled to a potential full refund because it's just that one charge. And if it's vacated, you would be entitled to the refunds that you would have paid towards that particular case. Again, the second type are third-party expenses. A request does need to be made to the court. So third-party expenses or costs not paid to the court, again, those include court-ordered drug treatment or home monitoring. And so the process that needs to be followed is that receipts or other documentation from whoever you went through is required. So you'd need to show proof that you attended the treatment, it was court ordered, and that there was a monetary expense incurred. Living with Convictions navigators will help prepare the forms requesting the refund. And then the court must issue the order granting your request, and then the Blake refund would pay that refund out. And then the last refund type is DOC. So this would come from the Department of Corrections for the cost of supervision. So the Department of Corrections is proactively refunding cost of supervision fees. They're paid by the supervised individuals on causes vacated due to State v. Blake decision. A refund process has already been developed to ensure due process for the impacted individuals. It is required, because you will get a paper check in the mail, that you update your mailing address with DOC by emailing them at docblakecos@doc1.wa.gov. This is a screenshot of the processing of the cost of supervision reimbursements, or refunds. So this is taken directly from the Department of Corrections website. This, as you can see, the data is provided as of June 3rd, and they're currently reviewing refunds as of August 2021. So it is it's June 2024, so it kind of can help you gauge when you could expect your refund. So they are processing slow and steady.
Thanks, Mike and Sophia. So next, if we want to turn it over to Chris Stanley and Robin Zimmerman. So I'm going to stop share now.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, thank you again for having us. And we're excited to talk about kind of the third step in the process, which is the Blake Refund Bureau, which distributes refunds once you have your convictions vacated. How the Blake Refund Bureau came into being, I'd like to turn over to my colleague, Chris Stanley, who really is kind of has the origin story, and got AOC to house the Blake Refund Bureau. So Chris, if you can.
Thanks, Robin.
Fill us in. Thank you.
Yeah, so when we started, there was no, when the Blake decision came down, there was no coordinated effort to streamline vacates or to streamline refunds. The first year of implementation, in fact, we had no staff at AOC, and so refund requests would come to county courts, our district and superior courts, and then they would send them to me, and I'd sit at my desk every Friday afternoon and go through dozens and hundreds of these things, like reviewing them and signing off on them. And then it became evident we needed a streamlined process. So we talked with legislators, and eventually we settled around Blake Refund Bureau, a centralized bureau where county clerks and court administrators could input vacated information into the system, and folks could look up their information on the public website, see if they're eligible for a refund, and easily and quickly claim that refund. So now as we get into third-party expenses, clerks and court administrators are uploading those orders as well. That's our latest iteration. So if you claimed your initial refund, like a legal financial application refund 2 years ago or a year ago, and you just got a third-party award, check the website, check the Blake Refund Bureau again, just in case we have another refund for you. So, it's been going pretty well. We've got 2,000 cases processed so far, $2.7 million out the door. And we have a general turnaround time of a couple of weeks, if not faster in some cases. Again, a lot of stuff's just cut and dry. Folks were unconstitutionally convicted of drug possession, and that was their one charge. It's been vacated. The LFOs are really straightforward, and it just goes pretty quickly. In some instances, a conviction may have been combined with another conviction, and the courts have to take extra steps to determine how much of the overall LFO would need to be refunded, and how many third-party expenses would be attributed to drug possession conviction versus other convictions on the same judgment and sentence report. So we are committed to this work. We are very invested in it, and again, committed to making it as easy as possible to getting folks the refunds that they are entitled to under the law. So thank you, Robin, for giving me a moment to explain that. Maybe you could talk about some of our outreach efforts.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chris. And this is this is really very much passion work for all of us. And, Yeah, actually, I want to kind of give a shout out to Debbie's amazing, and I bring this up in every presentation I do, your amazing kind of photo documentary, Sentenced to Debt in Washington, that features women that are beholden to LFOs, that have to choose between feeding their child or paying the LFO or going back to jail if they don't pay it, or becoming homeless. And just you think about that, the layers of the onion, just peeling it back, like an LFO and how much impact that could have on an individual and the communities. And so this Supreme Court decision can really change lives. I just talked to a bus driver who had a rider that she's a single mother who was concerned about applying for a job because she has a drug felony. And so now he's going to try to find her. I gave some of our outreach materials to him to find her and show that there is relief available. And so we've been working steadily on outreach, and it's growing. It's just kind of a massive effort. I mean, just trying to find the individuals that qualify across Washington State. Right, we have some outreach materials. We have postcards. We have trifolds. We've done a media push, and there's hope that we're going to start in Snohomish County. We're going to have some clinics with the attorneys there, and in partnership with Snohomish NAACP and Washington State Office of Public Defense, and with hopes to, out of that, create some kind of walk-up Blake vacate and refund kind of one-stop shops in communities, and that might be our test market. So stay tuned for that. And then just a general appeal for public help, for community help. So it's kind of like the bus driver. My new friend Jerry in Ellensburg, right? I'm working on behalf of this now unconstitutional drug law and getting restitution for individuals. Any ideas you may have, I'm happy to share my contact information. You can reach out to Living with Conviction. They can reach out to me accordingly. And I also want to kind of show off the landing page. So when you do get to through the process, when you do go through the work of Living with Conviction, get conviction vacated, and find the cause of your conviction, and you get to the stage where you're ready to apply for a refund. I'm going to share my screen and okay. Yes. So we're like I said, the third step in the process. So once you have your conviction vacated, this is where we house the entry to the portal that you'll apply to get your refunds. And so if you go through it, we also have a lot of resources here. So this is www.courts.wa.gov/Blake refund. And I can put that into the chat, and wherever this video will be housed going forward, that information will be available below that. So just kind of going forward. So we have information about the State versus Blake case. If you want to do a deep dive and understand more of the legislation around that, we have information about what you need to have handy before you do this. And of course, Living with Conviction can help you through this as well. And then before I hit that, on the side, we have some media, so you can see us in the news. You can feel free to share all of this. Please get the word out. And then resources that will help, legal aid, advocacy groups that can help you through this as well. And Living with Conviction is definitely one of our biggest partners. And then here, this apply online, this is where you go. So this is start your application here. There's a lot of words. You can definitely can navigate it once you get here, but you start the application. You can and there are a lot of cases that are already vacated, right? There's been, and so if the court of your conviction or courts of your convictions have gone through that process already and have sent the information to AOC, you might actually already be able to just bypass and just go to stage 3 of this process, right? So you can do like search. I'm just going to generally search a name, okay? And you can click on. Actually, I'm going to move this over here. Right, information pops up. If you are in the system and information pops up, you can do the request this refund. Then you can actually create an ID, start the process, and that goes through. So just wanted to give you a little overview of that. We also have an informational how-to video that I have now sent to Living with Conviction. They plan to upload it on their site, and then also in the meantime, they have the link and just the video available to send by email. So again, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to put some of this information in the chat right now, and yeah, thank you so much, and please get the word out. Appreciate it.
I just want to add that on the previous screen that Robin shared with everybody, Living with Conviction helps you obtain that information. So we'll be able to help you identify, the county where your refund lies or is going to originate from. We can also provide you your case, the case number, because it does require it. And then many times we can check that on your behalf, but we'll definitely make sure that you have the information needed so that you can go and request your refund.
Thank you all so much. That was great. I'm going to once again share. Oops, I'm not sharing. I just moved over. So sorry. I'm going to share. Oops. And then I think we have just a couple more slides before we'll move over to questions. And Sophia?
Yeah, so just Blake, what else? So we've gotten a few calls that are just saying, like, oh, the Blake, I have a Blake case, it's been vacated, but it's still showing up on my background when people run a background check. We have found that you should still send the Washington State Patrol, who creates the watch reports, a copy of your vacate orders. We can help you with that process. That'll ensure that your background check will have that vacate cleared off of your background. We did want to make sure that everybody knew that refunds associated with Blake are subject to deductions. Specifically at the moment, I know child support is one. If you guys know, Robin or Chris, if there are any other deductions that they are subject to? No, at the moment, good.
Not at this time.
Okay. And then lastly, that if
I'm
you
sorry.
wanted to add, oh, go ahead,
I'm
Debbie.
sorry, Sophia.
Yeah.
The Blake refunds are also subject to deductions when someone's incarcerated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then lastly, that if you had a loved one that is currently incarcerated, that if you had power of attorney, you could actually execute these steps on their behalf. And Living with Conviction would happily help you, apply for their refund and get that for them.
Okay, so now we are ready for if anybody has any questions or comments, we're happy to answer. And yeah, I think we'll just open it up as our.
There was one in the chat, Debbie.
Okay.
It's a good question. I think it's probably directed at me about the third-party costs. Approximately how many third-party expenses have we reimbursed so far? Right now, I think the total is 0 because we're just starting to get them in. We just launched the iteration of the website that allows us to process these. Are there any tips on what we've seen in this area that could help people get or find the required documentation, which is a challenge given how far back some cases will be? That's a tough one. So when we talk about third-party refunds, it's our weakest area when it comes to audit and fraud prevention. So the best thing you can do is to find a receipt. Now, if you know the facility where you went and that facility is still in business, that facility should be able to replicate your receipt for you. And they should have proof that you attended this thing. In fact, if you completed it successfully, you may even have a certificate that can aid in proving that you have a receipt. So So the receipt is the most important thing. And unfortunately that is required. And I know that it does get more difficult the further back you go. However, a lot of these organizations have been around a long time and they have maintained their records. So, unfortunately, that's the best advice I could give you. But because of the strict standards that we're held to in managing state funds, we have to have these sideboards around the third-party refunds.
And Chris, I had an add-on question. Just earlier you had said that that the Blake Refund Bureau has been updated to reflect the issuance of third-party refunds. So I mean, although we haven't received one yet, we can refer them to the Refund Bureau to check on the status of them after they're submitted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And because this is a new type of payment, we've got an initial batch of a few dozen requests loaded in from not requests from individuals, but data loaded in from courts. And we are going over it with extra scrutiny to ensure that the local courts are collecting the information necessary to issue a proper refund.
Great, thank you. I realized I just loved how Robin shared your guys' website. So if I may, I thought I'll share ours where you can see our resources and how to get help, etc. So I'm gonna just do this. So this is the Living with Conviction website. And you'll see here we help people with LFOs separate from Blake. And then we also help with Blake. So if we go there, we do mention we don't provide legal advice or representation. And you can click on this and fill in your information and we will immediately get an email from that. Then there's just a little bit, basically the basics that we mentioned. We also always have a helpline that's open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And after hours, you can always leave a message. When you do call, it'll either typically be Mike or Sophia answering the phone. You can ask any questions. There are no dumb questions. We don't screen for any sort of financial eligibility at all, unlike some of the legal aid organizations, civil legal aid organizations. And then we have some information here about, from a variety of different organizations about some of the items that we've mentioned. And then down here, I mean, this website is where this video will be housed. Also know that we have a series of, if anybody has any loved ones who are currently incarcerated and you think they may have been previously convicted of drug possession, please also reach out to us. On this page, we have a guide that is a PDF. We are also creating one for formerly incarcerated, but this is the guide for incarcerated individuals. And also that is on their tablets, individuals in prison. And then we also have 7 short videos for incarcerated individuals, and all of those also are on their videos. Let's see if there's anything else. I think that is it for now. So I'm gonna stop share on that. Yes.
If I might chime in just briefly, Deborah, because you pointed out the screening that you don't do. We don't do that either. If you're claiming a refund, all we need is some form of government issue identification and your birth date. That's it. We just need to verify your information with the least amount of information possible. So I just want to reassure folks that as you're claiming your refund, we're not trying to collect all this data and information on you. We're just trying to verify that no one's stealing your refund. And in a couple of cases, I've called people like, hey, just want to make sure this is you. The address doesn't match with the court record. And they're always like, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I updated my address and forgot to tell them. Okay. So.
Awesome. Thank you for mentioning that, Chris. And across the state, everybody, regardless of their financial status, everybody's entitled to a free attorney. And so, but as part of the intake process, some of the legal aid organizations do actually kind of go through and ask the questions because that's part of their intake. So I definitely wasn't distinguishing us from the Refund Bureau, but from the other organizations, and they do great work. That's just part of their process. But everybody can get legal representation for free if needed. There is a big long line for that. And but Living with Conviction definitely can help people on your simple Blake possession, including filling out the motion. And as Mike said, there's a few counties who we don't want any motions. We're just going through it ourselves. So please just get on our list. So that's kind of the distinction. Okay, let's see. Anything else? We were always happy. We certainly can end early. But does anybody else have any questions? No. Okay. Mike, Sophia, do you guys or Robin want to mention anything else before we sign off?
I have nothing more to add.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for joining
Yes,
us.
thank you so much. Yeah, yes. And please reach out.
Thank you.
Anytime.
And I'm gonna share my screen again because it's got all of our contact info on the next slide. And I'll just leave that up briefly. Whoops. In 1 second. Hold on. And then oops, there we go. I don't know why it won't let me just go straight to it. I think so. I'll just leave that on here for a little bit before we close out. So thank you everybody for attending. Please feel free to reach out. There's a lot of people across the state who care a lot and want to see people's these constitutional wrongs get righted and people get entitled to what is coming to them. So please feel free to reach out. Don't be shy. And thank you again to Mike, Sophia, and Chris and Robin from the Blake Refund Bureau. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.